Hello, everybody. Thank you for braving the weather.
Yeah, thank you for that.
How's everybody doing? Good? Good?
I know there's humans here, but these are so bright that I can't see anybody.
And I owe all of you an apology. Last time we were here, I was talking about how we needed to take power away from this city. Now that I live here, I think we need more money. Am I right? Yeah. Go lobbyists.
What a pussy. Like, just as soon as we're not in front of the Libertarian Convention crowd, now you're like, I think we should work more from home. Jen, how are you enjoying the weather?
You guys know I'm miserable. Of course I am. But I stayed inside all day and watched football, as most Americans should do.
Well, but I never know
Go
like which hometown you're representing.
Don't you know what city we are in? Do you hear the Go Birds over here?
Yeah.
Wait, is
Raiders
Birds a
in the
sports
house.
team?
Yes.
Because like usually they pick specifics like Ravens or Eagles or Hawks.
It's the Eagles.
Is it the Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won today.
How do they not confuse it with the Ravens?
The Ravens don't say that.
They don't. Okay.
No.
All right. Okay.
They say nevermore.
All right. That's it's the Edgar Allan Poe team. That sounds like the one I'm going to go for. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. No. They have three, like their mascots are three ravens called Edgar Allan and Poe.
Stop it.
Are you shitting me?
No, for real.
So there's like, wait, hold on. So the Baltimore Ravens,
Yes.
The Baltimore Ravens
Are named after
have
the
literary overtures?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Are there does Florida have Pat or like South Carolina have Pat Conroy or something? Did everybody do this?
Just say yes. Just lie to them and say yes.
No, I like this idea of being at a bar going like, well, Fitzgerald was a big Pats guy.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's the New England no second acts. Heaton, are you enjoying returning back to your DC homestead here?
Yeah,
you were down in Austin. You surprised our friend Brian Brushwood.
I did.
For his 50th birthday.
Brian Brushwood turned 50. I was out walking Wallace, and I called Brian to wish him a happy birthday, and then immediately got on a plane and flew to Austin to wish Brian a happy birthday. So if I need a kidney or something, I'm good for.
Yep. You can probably get both of them out of.
Yeah.
I need a full refresh.
I'm doing. Justin, how are you doing?
Me?
You're a dad now.
I am. This is my first trip away from the baby.
Okay. Wow.
Why are you clapping?
You are very sober under those circumstances, my friend.
Yeah, no, I was texting my Florida group chat. I was like, man, it's crazy how much when you're away from a child as a parent, how much your brain's rewired. Because normally I'd be at this bar ignoring calls from my wife without a care in the world. Now I'm at this bar ignoring calls from my wife without a care in the world and missing my baby.
Okay.
I'm Justin's roommate for this little trip here. And he'll be, speaking normally on camera or to someone on the phone or totally quiet. And then I'll just hear, so he does this through the phone to the child.
I do. I don't know if they can tell. I don't know why she can tell. My child.
You're so woke.
I know. I got to beat that out of me. The vibe has shifted. Have you felt it?
Do you swear? Because like usually when my friends have kids, I will accidentally swear in front of their kids and they'll be like, "I'm so sorry." They're like, no, they don't even know yet.
Yeah.
So is that? But like, when do you actually have to stop dropping the F-bomb?
We'll find out.
Okay. Okay.
Not yet. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
My brother had a good policy on that because he knows me. So his policy was, I can swear, and the kids just have to understand these are adult words that you're not allowed to use. And actually, his kids, I've never heard them swear, even though we all swear like truckers. So I think it's...
I mean, that might be the best way because like when you're a kid, you want to like define yourself. And so like not swearing can be like a thing. So it's like, ew, that's a gross adult thing.
Well, I think it just wasn't exciting for them because they were surrounded by it and like, Where I think if kids get in trouble for it, then there's something
That's when
rebellious about it.
As soon as people reacted to it, I was like, All right. We are
worked,
in business now.
in Oklahoma, briefly after college, I worked as a substitute teacher till they asked me to stop. And there was one time
Apologies to the families.
where I was like subbing like maybe second grade, I want to say. And this kid comes up and goes, Mr. Heaton, Bobby said the C word. And I was like, oh, no. Kids, come here. You shouldn't say the C word. Here's why it's bad to say. And then he goes, crap. And I'm like, yeah, that's the word I was definitely about to say out loud to all these children with an explanation of women's rights. Yep. C word, crap.
The weather's not as bad as we thought it was going
It's
to
kind of slurpy.
Slurpy?
That's a good word for it.
It's like slurpy. It's not icy yet. It will be tomorrow. Tomorrow's when it'll be deadly. But right now it's just kind of irritating. Like you got to like change your shoes when you get home and to not like, I don't know. Wear Wellington boots. Do we do that here? Now that I'm one of you lizard people.
The fuck is a Wellington boot?
Wellington, they're like rubber boots. They're wellies. Thank you, my people.
What? No, hold on. What is a
humans
wellie?
don't know.
I've never heard this
honestly
term.
am ignorant of this.
They're rubber boots.
Rubber boots.
Yeah. They're rain boots.
That like Paddington Bear would wear?
Yeah.
Like you were like the Gorton's fisherman?
Yes. That's exactly that. Yes.
Like real people, not mascots for fish sticks, wear those?
It's honestly really difficult for me to figure out what I do that's weird or normal at this point. But at least the front row seemed to know what it was. So there seems to be a constituency for Wellington
What
boots.
kind of misery do you live in on a daily basis to have gigantic rain boots?
Are yours yellow?
Well, I lost mine.
Do you have a pet monkey?
I used to have.
You do have man with the yellow hat vibes.
I know. No, I had green Wellington boots for a while. But I don't know where. I think they're in Oklahoma or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know Billy Connolly, the Scottish?
Okay, you're not on mic, so you can't actually have a conversation.
But
you're on the
I
show.
speak Scottish. I'll translate for him. He said, "Do you know Billy Connolly, the Scottish comedian?"
Okay.
Go on.
No.
He had a song out, if it wasn't for your wellies, where would you be?
He has a song, Justin, entitled "If It Wasn't for Your Wellies, Where Would You Be?"
I'm going to go back to my initial statement that people should not be trying to have regular conversations onto the show without a mic.
But thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you to Ollie for being here. Indeed, from Washington, D.C. I'm Justin Robert Young.
I'm Jen Briney.
And I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong. On this edition of the podcast, we'll be talking about how TikTok was down. It got knocked down, but it got up again.
You never gonna keep it down?
No. And we are going to talk about what do we have in the second one? Oh, the fact that the inauguration got moved indoors and the questions around why. All that plus emails. This is a tremendous venue. I just want to thank the Studio Theater for putting us up here tonight. A great venue, a great staff, and I'll just
Wellington
say this.
literate crowd.
Yeah. So in our last DC show, we were at a very well-intentioned venue.
A chic sweatbox, one would say.
Yes. Unfortunately, they barely were able to turn on their soundboard and their air conditioning did not work.
And we were here in the summer.
Now, tonight, we were, in enough of a cold that they had to move the inauguration in. And so anybody who's been to both of our DC shows, you have passed the fire trial. You have now passed the ice trial. Next year, we will have the wind trial, and the earth trial will be 2 years from now for the midterm. So please prepare yourself.
But thank you again for being here. We really
Thank you to
appreciate
everybody.
it.
One more round of applause for you guys.
Thanks, gang.
Let's go ahead and talk about TikTok. TikTok has gone dark in the United States. At least it was when I wrote this, assuming that it would still go dark. After the Biden administration failed to provide explicit assurances that service providers such as Apple and Google would not face penalties for maintaining the app's availability. It is now back after Donald Trump, via social media, provided said assurances. This all follows the Supreme Court's unanimous decision to uphold a federal law requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to divest itself of U.S. operations by January 19th or face a ban. President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office tomorrow on Monday, declared on social media that he would extend the period for which it would be banned by theoretically 90 days, but possibly more. He now seeks for the United States, although he did not say whether or not it would be state-owned media or a American company, would be to own 50% of TikTok going forward. If we can, before we get into what happened over the last 12 hours, just focus on how the Biden administration handled this. Joe Biden signed this law in, and it was going dark today. They then said they were not going to, via just unattributed quotes to the news media, said that they were not going to enforce the law because it's a long weekend and there's a new president coming anyway.
Wait, so the whole Biden administration's basically Friday before Christmas?
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, we've all been fucking off since 2 p.m. Do we really? We could do it if you want. We can just check our email till we go home.
Yeah, apparently in a statement to the New York Times, they said, take this job and shove it. In all honesty, this was Karine Jean-Pierre to MSNBC. Quote, we see no reason for TikTok or other companies to take action in the next few days before the Trump administration takes office on Monday. We have laid out our position and straightforwardly said that actions to implement this law will fall to the next administration, so TikTok and other companies should take up concerns with them. Essentially, not our job, despite the fact that they're still literally the law of the land.
That one kind of makes sense to me, though. Because if they're saying, like, if Trump's going to do something radically different than what we're going to do for one day, maybe not flip the lights on and off a couple of times. Maybe just let him turn them off or turn them on. Like, I kind of get not wanting to make waves there.
Maybe don't sign the law so it goes into effect the day before.
Hold on, we had to do that because we wanted it to happen after the election because it was deeply unpopular with kids. All right? Okay?
Let me do the annoying thing and point out that the bill, when it became law, was part of a big package. And the only thing that was different from the original bill was the date, which got moved. And if they had thrown any kind of stink, if anyone had, then there wouldn't have been money for Ukraine and Israel. And there was like a lot of stuff in that same package. So this date, Biden was signing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't a standalone thing. So, I do think it's ridiculous.
They could have maybe messaged this before the day before it was going to happen.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But if you're going to have...
They don't care. This is like the biggest senioritis.
They obviously don't care.
Yes.
No, the fun move that they did was pretending that a constitutional amendment was just ratified.
That's true.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So that now Trump has to go, that isn't a thing. And then everybody go, you bastard.
But did you see JD Vance's tweet about it?
No.
It's like, well, Mr. President, if we're just doing fake shit, can you declare that Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame?
Or the poor archivist of the United States, that was never meant to be like a flashpoint in the culture wars. And yet, Colleen, the archivist, is having to I can't do that. It's not a thing. That was the bullshit they were doing, was trying to slip a constitutional amendment under the door. Are you familiar with this? Do you know anything about this? Okay.
Well, no, fill the audience.
Okay, so the
podcast
Equal Rights Amendment, this was initially proposed, I believe, during the Ford administration. It had pretty broad bipartisan consensus.
They're called women.
Yeah. Well, like Ford was in favor of it, the then president, right? So a lot of the time you would think this would be very like Republican or Democrat. I don't think it really was at the time, but it was controversial in certain sects. Phyllis Schlafly went around telling everybody if the Equal Rights Amendment were passed, then when were we going to be drafted? And it ended up not getting a sufficient amount of states to ratify it. To get a constitutional amendment ratified, you have to get it passed by Congress, and you have to have X amount of states. I think it's half of the states or 3/5 of the state. I think let's say half the states do it.
I think 24 states or 23 states had ratified it.
And so there wasn't a sufficient amount, but we just kind of let it stay there. And so finally, a year or two ago, not 2 days ago.
It was in 2020.
2020. The entirety of the Biden administration, the Commonwealth of Virginia went, actually, we're going to ratify this, which brings it up to the level necessary to do it. But by the time they'd done it, like, I don't know, Missouri or Oklahoma went, we changed our mind. We don't want to do that. So the arguments against it, which seem to be fairly rock solid from legal sources, is look, there is a timeline here. We're outside of that timeline. And if there wasn't a timeline, the point of when it kicks in would be when Virginia signed it, at which point the other three dropped out. So you still don't have a quorum to do it. So there's not really a good legal rationale for it. Whether you like it or not, it's just not something that's going to stand up if you try to push it in court.
And then
Biden, 2 days ago, Jen, thank you for pointing out, 4 years. So, okay, a couple of things to think about here. One, is it very important if Biden went, did he literally, he's like packing up and he's like, fuck, damn it. Here's my lucky pen. Also the Equal Rights Amendment. I should really tend to this before I go to Delaware or wherever he's going to go. So he waited 4 years, and then he just announced, I am thrilled as president of the United States to ratify this amendment. And it's a very big signaling thing. I think it's just, I think I defer to you on these things, but I think it's basically just, how can we put the Republicans on their back feet as anti-feminists right before I leave?
You are assuming that there is any logic or reason to the
So it might really have been
the Biden administration is just like an old car that is just sputtering. It's like shooting steam out of the front of it. Like it's slowly coming to a clattering halt. Lord knows what is happening right now. Like nobody inside seems to have any fucking idea what is happening. And with this TikTok thing, you would think that they would at least do it with conviction. Like Joe Biden signed it. If he was going to be a China hawk, then say like, yes, we are proudly doing this. This is what we did. It was a bipartisan law. It was passed by the Republican House, the Democratic Senate, a Democratic president, and it was upheld by a conservative court. TikTok, you're banned. Trump, if you want to do something, then do something. But instead, they're just like,
But Andrew has a point where there's only a 1 day difference. Again, like I've pointed this out before, but I'll do it again. The law doesn't actually ban TikTok. What the law does is it punishes the companies that enable us to access TikTok. So it punishes Apple and Google for hosting it in their stores, punishes Oracle for hosting their data. And so for them to shut all of that down today, to pull the app out of the stores, to stop hosting it, like this isn't just something you can flip the switch and then flip it back on. And so the messages that you saw on TikTok today saying we're unavailable, that was TikTok. Like nothing actually happened this morning.
The first one, yes. The one where they went down last night, that was them shutting down performatively before they had to, because it was before midnight.
They wanted the freak out, which they got. I saw people crying.
The one that they did this morning would have had to come with Oracle agreeing to host their data, like with Trump's assurances that they would not be fined for it, as they should be in the law that was passed.
Yeah, and these are existential fines. It's unbelievable the amount of money that they would be fined.
$1 gajillion a second.
Yeah, it's insane how much money. So it's a real big danger.
$5,000 per user per app or something like that.
Yes,
there's a lot of advertising you got to recoup $5,000 per user.
Like even in the crazy world of tech, where you're like, this is not a joke. Like Google pays Apple like $4 billion a year just to be the default search engine when you search for something in Safari. That actually happens. Even in that world, it's a fine where these companies would be like, okay, hold on.
Yep.
Let's
it could take these companies down.
Yeah, so they would not do it. And it was apparently, it was a negotiated thing with Trump, where Trump had to call these companies and say, this is not going to happen. And there's going to be an executive order that I'm putting out when I become president that will alleviate you from these fines.
And it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what this executive order looks like, because what the law did is it allowed for a 90-day extension, but that's only if there was some kind of deal in the works for TikTok to be sold. And like, that's not happening. So the conditions haven't been met that allow this 90-day extension. And so if anybody sues, this could be an issue. And then on top of it, the plan that Trump is now saying is the plan is for the United States to step in and buy half of it. That also makes no sense, because the law says that if the foreign ownership is even partial, then this can be banned. So it just... Even what he, like, the way he should be lying to make this work is to say, oh, we have a buyer and they're ready. They're going to buy the whole thing. The guy from Shark Tank, like, even if it's not true, even if he were to say that, it would set up the conditions for the 90 days to work.
I think
they still might.
You're suffering under the idea that he gives a shit about the law.
I know, right?
That's a really big assumption here. I think what Trump is saying is, I will make a better deal. What if we own 51%? But it has nothing to do with what the previous administration signed into law was ratified by the Supreme Court.
But at this point, it matters if Apple, Google, Oracle care about the law and if they trust Trump.
And right now, at least Oracle believes it, because they are posting TikTok again. Actually, can somebody in the audience look in the Android and the Apple App Store and just see if TikTok is listed?
While you're
Because
doing
I'm
that,
curious.
my friend Bob, I'm rooting for this now. First, because I thought it was a stupid law to begin with. But secondly, my friend Bob has a TikTok channel. He's a professional entomologist in Austin,
I don't
Texas.
know what that is.
Bug guy.
Okay. Thank
in
you.
Austin, Texas. And he would just stand in his yard and he'll talk about bugs, and deer will just out of nowhere come up and try to nuzzle him, and he'll go, "Stop, get out of here." And it's chanting because Bob, who doesn't give a shit about the deer, has become a Disney princess.
Okay, so right now, at least on Android, it is not listed, and then iPhone has a message saying that TikTok, ByteDance, and other apps are not available in this region. So right now, Apple and Google do not believe it. Oracle believes it. And that's why you are able to see
regulatory ambiguity is not a good place to be. Like that's not you don't want to be. And like guy who until I moved here tended to not like big government. Like actually like regulatory ambiguity is even worse, because you're in this weird limbo state of, well, I don't want to put in any capital in this because I might go to jail at some point. So we're just not going to do anything. So it sounds to me like that's where we're headed here.
And by the way, like Donald Trump, who is probably right now at the peak of his popularity. I don't know. I can't imagine that when he actually starts governing, he's going to get more popular than he is right now. There are still Republican senators like Tom Cotton who are saying like, hey, nothing has been met. None of those thresholds have been met in terms of the law to trigger the 90-day extension.
Yeah.
And Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, co-wrote the bill.
Yep.
So who knows what those conversations are going to look like? But there's a lot of people. I
think that conversation is going to look like, we're going to extend it. And Marco Rubio says, it's a wise move.
Yeah, we did watch his confirmation hearing, and there was a different Marco.
The confirmation hearing was amazing. If you are a patron of Congressional Dish, you can listen to us watching it. But it had all of the stern grilling of a bar mitzvah. It was just a bunch of people from the Senate that were really happy that their friend got a promotion.
We're so proud of you growing up. We will miss you, little Marco.
I know. Like Tammy Duckworth, who's a Democrat, who was like grilling Pete Hegseth the day before, is like, I remember when we first met. Here's my question. Don't stop being kind.
I like that we've got a bright spot through Marco Rubio to focus on. The whole TikTok thing, though, has kind of just been irritating to me from day one. My position is, even if there are concerns of a foreign government trying to mess with the algorithm, which I think are probably legitimate, the way that you try to deal with things is not to restrict the speech of Americans. I always want to protect the speech of Americans, right? So I didn't want to shut down TikTok. As somebody that didn't want to shut down TikTok, I also want the president to execute the laws that he's constitutionally vested with executing the laws.
Yeah.
So now I want Trump to enforce the stupid law I was opposed to, and he's not doing it. So I'm losing at every goddamn turn in this. And on top of that, he floated the idea of which I'm interpreting here as the federal government, although it sounds like just one of his we should just buy 51%. That's what China does, by the way. That is very, very Chinese. What China does is go, now we're capitalist, wink, and the Politburo is going to own 51% of your company and will kill you if you get out of line. So we're going to get all the benefits of the market with authoritarian central rule. I don't want us doing that with fucking media.
Yeah, I mean, again,
unless now that I'm in Washington, I get a cut of that.
This gets into the thing of like us trying to do serious political analysis via the 5 words that were written on Truth Social. So we do not know whether when he says U.S. should own 50%, he means the federal government or he means
the Shark Tank guy.
Yeah, there's Shark Tank Man, Perplexity AI, which is
Elon,
the AI
of
search
course.
engine. They said that they wanted to merge with TikTok, which would essentially, it wouldn't be them selling, but it would be them absorbing it. Like the big thing that really, the reason why the law is what it is because that's the only way that they assume that TikTok would either be without the Chinese controlled algorithm or an American company would be able to touch the algorithm, which right now is not the case. Like this is something that I saw a bunch on Twitter today of like, well, Donald Trump initiated the ban. Donald Trump did not initiate the ban.
No.
He talked about a ban in 2020 that led to an agreement between TikTok and Oracle that led to a solution called Project Texas, where TikTok data for America would be stored on American servers by Oracle in Texas. So that happened. And then in the intervening 3 years, it became more and more of a pernicious issue that then this bill was crafted. And again, was about as bipartisan gets. Like there was not a lot of things that passed through fairly uncontroversially through, Mike Johnson's House and Chuck Schumer's Senate. And then it was signed by Joe Biden. Than this. And
the reason these mergers aren't going to work is that the president does get to decide which other companies will be targeted by this because this is broader than TikTok. It allows it to target foreign owned apps, websites, other stuff. But TikTok is the only one, ByteDance is the only one specifically named in the bill. So that's why Trump just can't come in and be like, okay, I'm just going to undo what Biden did. But it also said that it had to be, if ByteDance owns more than, I believe it was 20% of the company, then it can't stand. So even these like merger ideas, they're not going to work. It has to bring ByteDance down to 19% ownership or else this isn't going to work.
Well, I mean...
so that's why it's messy.
Yeah, I mean, like what we don't know is, so like if an American company owned 50%, then how much does ByteDance own versus what VCs have bought into? So it's like,
has to get them down to that threshold.
Are you moving ByteDance itself into a 20% position? Because the argument is, and I think that this is legit, that if a Chinese company is in the power position, it is essentially controllable, if not currently controlled by the CCP. Like the CCP can pull the strings.
What if we do a time sharing thing where they get to be propagandists on Monday?
Yeah.
We get it on Friday, and then like Canada gets Wednesday or one of the shit days.
It's funny, when I was doing my PX3 extra today, just to demonstrate like that TikTok was back, I just opened up my TikTok app and started it, and it was a song that was, it's just like the first thing that came up was just like, if batteries weren't meant to be eaten, why do they taste so good?
Well, I'm
like, yep, that's it. Xi Jinping.
As TikTok collapses, have you seen that a number of the people that are most active on it are going to Little Red Book? I don't remember.
Red Note.
The commie platform. so the people that are like the most anguished about word choice are now like correcting the communists on what there's, and like it turns out these are very different breeds of commie. There's so like woke commie and economic commie, and they got nothing in common. Oh,
My favorite thing, there was like a Twitter back and forth where this Chinese lady was like, Americans, no, white people, stop bringing your pornography onto Red Note. And then somebody responded to her, isn't it kind of racist to lump all people of a race into one statement? To which her response was, I'm racist. Checkmate.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was doing another show, and the Freddie Mercury story had just come out. The biopic, the Freddie Mercury biopic. What do you say? Biopic. Okay.
Yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
And the Chinese government, like the Chinese government's very socially conservative compared to the United States. We are far more socially liberal than the Chinese Politburo. And so for public consumption in China, they cut out all of the gay stuff in the Freddie Mercury story. So he's just having a great time, and then AIDS. That's it. That doesn't make sense anymore. Very sad.
Pretty accurate to like the way that people experienced the actual Freddie Mercury story. I don't know how much gay stuff was in that movie.
I mean, I feel like it was part of the failing earlier relationship he had with his wife, and
Yeah.
it does dovetail into the latter half of the film, as I recall.
But it's still
okay. I take
hinted.
it back. The commies were right, Justin. Thank you,
I'm just saying that,
Politburo.
no. This is something that is like well known, that for a while when Hollywood was taking a lot of Chinese money, but they also were being pushed into a more and more progressive stance where you had to show some element of progressive values, which was obviously LGBTQ friendly. They would make all of the big LGBTQ scenes one moment that were very editable from an international version. So it would just be like, oh, this big thing is happening, and then two gay characters kiss. No dialogue. And certainly nothing that has anything to do with the plot. So we can just cut it out for Beijing, cut, print.
I'm curious. I mean, we're all attention whores, and yet none of us are really on TikTok.
No.
Why didn't you guys go all in on TikTok?
We're old.
Is that it?
I think so.
What about you, Andrew?
I can't be bothered.
I know. I'm just lazy.
I'm not really doing a lot of social media.
Are you a TikTok consumer?
No.
How many in the audience are TikTok regulars?
We need to hear you.
That watch TikTok.
We
got one.
Not
yuck.
many?
Jesus.
Really?
Jesus
You're
Christ.
as old as us.
This is amazing. We're older than Congress, huh? I think Dianne Feinstein's corpse in the back left of the Studio Theater. Nobody. Really? Not even the women?
I'm proud. What? Yeah, I'm with her.
I don't know. I mean, the only people my age that are on TikTok all the time are women.
That is not my experience.
It sounds, given that
Oh
you're...
no, I have men in my life that are so addicted
that are
to
into
it.
TikTok?
Oh yes. They're the ones it's the men that are pushing me, saying that if I did congressional stuff on TikTok that my page would blow up and it would go so viral and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but I just don't want to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
Given that only one of the people in the room is on TikTok, it sounds like I made a great call not doing anything on TikTok.
Yep.
That would have been an incredible waste of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the few people I saw in my personal life that jumped over to Reels today and started doing their TikTok stuff on Reels, I was like, oh God, go back to find your next thing. Please don't do it here.
Go back to Redbook.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this.
Patreon.com/We're Not Wrong is where you need to go if you want to get our Patreon bonus episode. We'll be talking about Joe Biden's farewell address. Yes, as we speak to you, the studio audience, it is the final minutes of the Biden administration.
And he still hasn't pardoned his brother.
Oh, that's tomorrow.
Do you have a
That's
statement
what
on
happens
that?
tomorrow. Yeah.
It's because it's noon,
Can
right?
he
Noon is the
pardon
official
right
cutoff?
until the inauguration?
Oh, yeah. No, that's when the gross ones happen.
On inauguration day.
Yes. The last thing that happens in an administration is the pardons.
Yeah.
Those are always the grossest ones, and James Biden will be pardoned tomorrow. We're all, I don't know.
You got to do something because you really dug your feet in on
This
this
would
one.
actually be a really good way to fuck with people. This is a good power move. Somebody you don't like, give them a blanket pardon at the end. and
But
go,
Biden's-
I am pardoning Justin particularly for trafficking.
Yeah. No, Biden,
He is part of all federal sex trafficking charges.
Biden suggested pardoning Trump. That was floated.
Why?
Because we'll get to it
I
in
know.
the Patreon. We'll get to it.
Justin's gonna yell.
Yeah. Anyway, patreon.com/we're not wrong. Thank you to everybody. How many patrons do we have in the audience?
Thanks, gang. Thank you.
Love you guys.
The rest of you are terrible.
This is
But
what
thank you
the-
for coming.
Yes. Due to an Arctic blast sweeping across the nation, President-elect Trump's inauguration tomorrow will be held indoors in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, the first such move in 40 years. The National Weather Service forecasts temperatures around 19 degrees Fahrenheit in D.C., with wind chills even colder. The indoor venue's limited capacity means many of the 220,000 ticketed guests will be unable to attend the ceremony in person. To accommodate some of the supporters, the ceremony will be broadcast live in Washington's Capital One Arena, where the Wizards and the Capitals play, which holds approximately 20,000 people. Additionally, the traditional inaugural parade will be adapted to take place inside of the arena. Those specific arrangements for this change have yet to be detailed. Despite the venue change, other inaugural events, including a rally, which is happening, I guess it probably just wrapped up in the last few minutes as we record this, is happening in that same arena, along with various different inaugural balls. And so, we have three particular scenarios. And I want to throw them out here. And before we go to my esteemed panelists here, I would like for you guys in the audience to react with applause on which you think is the most likely. Number one, Trump is scared that his crowd size will not be big enough. Applause for that. Okay. Number two, there is a credible threat on Donald Trump's life that is worth changing this, but not worth scaring DC. How many people think that is feasible? Less than the first one. Number three, it's fucking cold. The vast majority
Yeah.
believe it's just fucking colder than a witch's tit. Heaton, what do you think?
I think it's probably cold. I think that's a significant amount. I mean, like, does anybody think that if the crowds are small, that's going to stop Trump from saying that they were big?
Certainly didn't the last time he
Right.
was president, and this exact thing happened.
He's going to tell everybody it was 52 degrees and had a million people and everything. Yeah, I think it's probably cold. I'm not okay. Are you constitutionally required to do the inauguration in DC?
in DC.
What?
Could you just do it in Florida? That seems like a very Trump thing to do, doesn't it?
I would
Trump
rather
was like,
be in
I don't know, I
Florida.
hate all these people. I own a golf course. Like, I can see him doing it in Florida.
Okay,
It's a really good question.
we're gonna really quick table this because somebody else on I think it was the Ruthless podcast mentioned this. The idea that Donald Trump would be the first president in recent memory to not have his library at a university, but rather to put it in
Hooters?
a resort and casino with a Hooters.
At a casino, brilliant.
Yeah, just be like, I'm killing time. My tea time's at 10. I'm gonna get off the links, take a shower, take in the Trump library, and then I'm gonna hit the craps table by 9 o'clock.
You know what? I think you could. They've changed it in the past. So from the 70s back, the inauguration took place on the front side of the Capitol, the one that faces the Supreme Court, facing east. That was the standard way to facing the new dawn, right? That was the symbolism. When Reagan got elected to the presidency, he wanted to face California, his state.
Yeah.
And so he moved it to the mall. And presidents have subsequently used the mall, but they've moved it before. And I don't think that there's any constitutional prerogative that would be there. I mean, like theoretically, the president could get the flu. The Supreme Court chief could just not show up. Like there's a constitutional mechanism. The president is the president at noon on the day of the inauguration, regardless of it's all just ceremony, right? So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do it on a Carnival cruise or something.
Only Trump meme coin holders are allowed to attend the inaugural cruise.
I don't think crowd size would have been an issue this time because
Me either.
I don't think that you have to be ashamed to be a Trump person anymore. I think they're just like out of the closet and it's fine. And I know both of my flights here were full of MAGA and they're
Mine
loud
was
and
a
proud out there. There's a ton of them.
fucking carnival. Like,
Yeah, yours was
there
nuts.
was a dude who was walking up and down the aisles with a Trump flag, just getting applause. And then when they landed, and I shit you not, you can see the proof on my Twitter. When we landed, they played YMCA over the PA system.
This is so different than when Romney was a Republican. Like, I started doing stand-up in D.C. these many years ago, and I would do political gigs in D.C. and like it was every room, home team, Democratic advantage. And I'd make fun of everybody. We'd be like, where are the Republicans at? And there'd be like three guys in the back that would just shake their head and be like, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. I just think taxes should be lower. That's it. Right? No, Trump people are excited to talk to you about Trump. Like they're like wearing the hats and stuff, wearing American flag capes, American G-strings.
For real.
That's true. Although I don't know if it's going to stay around in DC. DC is still like a 97% Democratic place,
I think
right?
it was. Yeah, what was in the most recent election? It was either I think it was 97% went for Kamala, it's one of the few places where the Libertarians went like fifth. Because it went like the socialists and the Greens outpaced the libertarians in D.C. They were the resident protest vote. There were like 8 people, 6 of which are in this room right now, that voted for Trump or the libertarian candidate.
Well, yeah, I don't think these MAGA people were moving here, but I think they're here for the party tomorrow. And I think this town's going to be, I've got to say, I think it's going to be fun. The MAGA parties are fun.
Yeah.
And I think the
They're
whole
fun. I had a
town,
fun
You were
time.
just changed fundamentally by the RNC.
it was so fun.
Like you were like,
was.
wait, it's just a party based on Margaritaville?
Yes.
Like I'm fundamentally changed by this.
Yeah. I don't hate the MAGA people. I don't love their political goals, but I also don't think that they share a lot of these goals. I think they're going to see what Trump does and be like, wait, that's not what we voted for. Like, case in point, they voted for enforcing our borders. Trump, like yesterday, came out and was basically calling our border with Canada an imaginary line. So, like, I think they're going to see some of the policies and be like, that's different.
Or like the visas, where like previously Trump until tomorrow was a quantum presidential elect guy, right?
Yeah.
He's whatever you want to be. So you're like, well, I like the smart immigrants, but I don't like the dumb immigrants. And then other people are like, I hate all the immigrants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's what Trump thinks. And now they're actually going to have to pick a lane.
Well, and at the RNC, the message was we hate all the immigrants. So this H-1B visa thing, that shocked some people. So I think a lot of people showed up to the MAGA party because it's a real fun party. And now it's about to get real. So.
And then the lights are going to come on and you're going to see who you were grinding on all night.
Exactly.
And you're going to be like, no.
I do really want to watch the inauguration parade taking place inside of a basketball arena. Yeah. I am aware that it's a very large basketball arena, but in my mind, it is just my high school gymnasium and like a series of riding lawnmowers trying to turn around on the way out. Like I would actually genuinely really like to watch that.
And by the way, all 3 of us who got credentialed for both of the conventions through Congress, we applied to the same exact people. All 3 of us have not heard yet if we have press credentials to go into this basketball stadium. And no journalist I know has gotten their credentials either. So that's how big of a shit show this is. We don't even know if we can go yet.
Yeah, let's actually double check here. Nope.
Nope. And it's got to be what, like 8 p.m. now?
Damn it. You know what I should have done? Oh, I should have tried to get my own float.
Go on.
And I would have just told everybody it was the Congressional Budget Committee, and then I would have just driven it into a pole. Like really slowly. Like where everybody's like, just turn left or right. And I'm like, can't do that.
By the way, apparently 200 executive orders will be signed tomorrow.
200?
200. One of which will probably be the least popular in Washington, D.C., which is all federal employees return to office. An audible boo. An audible boo in this crowd in the
Wow.
studio theater. But yeah, that was the one. There's going to be a state of emergency declared on the border. The border will be declared closed.
Clearly, only one of them, since
Yeah.
only one of them is real.
Yeah, deportation orders.
Dude, I've got a friend that may or may not, and or his wife may or may not be in the incoming administration.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, "This is amazing. Like, if we had to get shit done through Congress, it'd take us forever. We wouldn't even do it. But if we get this thing, like the amount of latitude that the presidency now has is disturbing. And I think it's a result of both the presidency engorging and just the fact that Congress doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And as a result, like we're going to get these massive pivot swings where instead of having a consensus amongst members of Congress where we all kind of figure out what we want to do, it's going to go back and forth where you've got executive appointments that are able to really, really change policy.
I have a weird feeling, and it has nothing to do with Trump per se, other than the fact that like these last 12 years have been like really, 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 swingy. That politically, what Slurpee, one might say that like I think that there has now opened up fertile ground politically to just be like, I'm the bipartisan person, as opposed to just saying that you're like up in the problem solvers caucus. Like I think like there's like a John Fetterman sized.
Can I blow the conch shell and like have all the blue dogs that went into hiding and
No, I think
like the three Rockefeller Republicans living on Tatooine? Can we come out now?
I think they're back mostly because Trump is not an ideologue.
No.
And so, yeah.
President Reader McBookface?
Yeah.
He's not an ideologue?
And so I feel like it's like if you can get the votes and, prove via a Twitter poll that it's popular enough, like he'll sign it.
That's
like there's no element.
The weird thing about Trump is that for all of the many, many, many problems I got with him, he is a deal maker that doesn't give a shit about whatever the thing was.
He is unmoored.
He's not going, am I Hobbesian or Lockean? That is not a statement. He said, and so like there is some shit we could actually get done if we manage to get it done.
Yeah.
I think flattery goes a long way with this guy, and I hope the Democrats figure that out.
Yeah.
Bethany Frankel, do you guys know who she is? She's one of the Real Housewives of something. I don't know. I've never watched the show, but
the incoming Secretary of State.
yeah, but she after the Puerto Rico hurricane started basically a charity, and she's amazing. Like she goes into these places that are disaster riven, finds out what needs to get done, calls all her billionaire friends. Yeah, she became a billionaire because she made Skinny Girl margaritas. And so she calls billionaires, gets money in there, hands out gift cards. Like she's incredible. She's doing it with the LA fires. And so since she's helping with the fires, she's getting a lot of people from North Carolina saying, we've been completely forgotten out here. So she goes to Instagram yesterday and makes this whole thing. And she's dressed like a lot of times she's in her bed, like crying. She has no makeup on. Like she can be a real mess. And this one, she looked like she was straight out of Gossip Girl. So she dressed like she was in Manhattan. And she says, this message is for Donald Trump. I'm getting messages from North Carolina. They really need your help. I have billionaires lined up. You know them. They've been to Mar-a-Lago. We really need you to get on this. I will come to the White House, talk to you. Let's get together. And by the way, we're talking about North Carolina. They voted for you. And I'm like, this is genius. This is exactly what needs to get done with this guy. And I think if the Democrats look at that strategy and start flattering him.
Or we all get, bear with me here, I'm going to call them clitoris caps. And we wear them tomorrow to show our umbrage. Maybe that will do it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good strategy. I really don't.
Pussy hats?
Yeah, I definitely was not.
Yeah.
I was not in that
Does
group.
anyone still have their pussy hat? Anyone with them? No?
Were you going to make me wear it
What?
if someone whipped out a pussy hat?
No, I was going to make him wear it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a world where it is better for Democratic priorities if they don't try to play the game. But I believe that in the first term, like there was a legit Dreamers for Wall deal on the table that Schumer and Pelosi spiked because
Resistance.
Orange man bad resistance, right?
Yeah.
And it's like for them, it's like you can make the argument that hey, they won back the White House, in the next term. So win electorally.
But we don't know if they
but-
would have won. 'Cause COVID had such a big role to play in that election. I don't know that Biden would have won had COVID not been.
I don't think
He might have had a
Yeah.
campaign. And
Yeah.
but that didn't tend to benefit.
To be fair, though, to him, he did such a good job campaigning this time when he actually had to do it.
Well, okay, with the Trump thing here. Okay, so I'm a big Thunder fan, which is a basketball team in Oklahoma City, and in professional sports, a lot of the time, the basketballers and footballers will be traded to a different team. You see,
Go on,
Follow
Stephen
me.
A. Heaton.
Here's what I'm thinking. The Democrats could go, look, you're already in office. What if we make you an offer and you become a Democrat?
He was a Democrat.
He was, and a reform guy, that a Republican, that a Democrat, that a Republican. Like I don't know. Like make the thing now. Be like, just become a. First of all, it would blow everybody's mind.
Yeah.
That might be because like we're all getting to the point now where we can adjust our internal reality to Trump reality. It was very difficult the first couple of years where we're like, there's no way he threw a pie at. Oh, he threw a pie at Rosie O'Donnell, and like now we're doing. But if he became a Democrat,
It would
actually
be so funny if he just at inauguration was like, "I'm a Democrat," and then all the Republicans were like, "We're Democrats," and then all the Democrats were like, "We're Republicans."
Yeah.
And it was just all sneeches on beaches with stars upon stars.
If it turns out that Trump is just doing an incredible Andy Kaufman-esque exercise, that will be the thing that convinces me to become a Trumper.
It was just the Chinese fire drill of Congress. Like- Oh, that would be amazing. We're not wrongpod at gmail.com. Again, we're not wrongpod at gmail.com. We had a conversation on the last podcast about a certain senator. Clobo Cop writes, "I'm glad one beep got through. I was worried about the senator from Minnesota, hoping she runs again in 28. And I keep scanning the crowd just in case there's a staffer that comes for my jugular."
That was a mistake, by the way.
That was
Our
really
poor
funny.
editor felt really bad.
That was really funny.
Yeah. I think it worked out better just for like the show purposes, but we thought like just out of respect, we'll just like bleep it. And he missed one.
By the way, do you know that the senator we were talking about is the chair of the aging committee?
Can't make this shit up, kids.
Not a joke. Not a joke.
Hey, Justin, how many people are in the aging committee? 453?
A tactful man writes, "She was recently hot. Now she's an old hag. I genuinely feel bad for her, but facts is facts."
Matt Gaetz is listening to our show.
Speaking of the California fires, Logger writes, "I spend most of my vacations in national parks or forests and other such things. It's what I do. California's forests are fucked. There are tons of dead down timber that is not being removed. It's overgrown. Yes, get the damn loggers in there, make them a little money, let them take 20% of the trees. We'll still have a forest, but there will be a lot less fuel."
Well, if he wants to be a logging lobbyist, there's a job for him.
Get your ass to Sacramento. CalVeg writes, "The California Vegetation Treatment Program, CalVTP, was created to help streamline the process of environmental reviews related to vegetation treatment. One of the treatment methods used is prescribed burns, which are employed by CAL FIRE throughout the state. The USFS also uses prescribed burns, and many of the tribes are also involved in advocating for and assisting in planning for prescribed birds, since they rely on fire to maintain habitat for both plant and animal species that are culturally significant. I don't have any data on the number of acres that are proactively burned each year, but it seems to be increasing year by year, and more foresters and resource management shift away from fire prevention. As Justin alluded to, for most of the 19th and 20th century, fire prevention was the model. Like Jen said, prescribed burns in residential areas, especially canyons, aren't easy to employ due to the permanent structures, but they are possible and can be done in the right weather conditions with oversight. I'm preparing for a survey of several thousand acres near an urban environment where prescribed burns are planned as part of the treatment." So this is somebody who is like in this field. But I thought that was a good informative look at the process.
Yeah.
Porn.
Did we get a lot of email on that?
Shockingly less than you'd think.
I keep wanting to do that on the show. I probably lost the Supreme Court's setting it. I can do it for Judge Week. But I feel like this would be a hot topic thing for most of my listeners.
Yeah, as it turns out, not as many people emailed about porn as they did about the senator who we maligned. All of us. Oh, shut up! We're all going to hell. You didn't stop me.
I was wearing a pussy cap. You all saw it.
Because it takes a certain kind of person to email in about porn, which brings us to Big Driller, who writes, as a freak 7 days a week who works on an oil rig off of Texas 2 to 3 months at a time, I hate this law. I'm a very private person who would really not want my state ID in a registry next to the smut I watch. I'm trying to save up money right now so I can buy myself a small local office, and my love of overweight black women would not be appreciated by my constituents or my wife. These sites say that they don't want to record anything, but can we trust that bad actors won't blackmail me with my black MILFs?
I love this audience.
Good point. Hey, good point, listener. I think that is a very realistic point. Like,
there are multiple kids in the audience, for the record. For the listening audience.
This is on their parents. This is on their. This is not on me. This is not on me. No, okay. Children, don't pay attention to this bit. All right, everybody else. Do you remember a few years ago when Ashley Madison got hacked? And it turns out that they were making all of these fake accounts to lure men into Ashley Madison because the ratio of women wanting to use it was like 1 to 1,000. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And like people were getting angry. And they're like, can you believe Ashley Madison would lie to people?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, a website designed to facilitate adultery. So I think this is a very realistic fear that the guy that's running the cookies, which is not a porn reference, it's just a programming reference, might not do a good job clearing the cache, which again is not a porn reference. And you might wind up on some hit list in Texas state legislature.
Did I ever tell you guys about my German sex phone operator friend?
Go on.
Yeah. The floor is yours.
So I was couch surfing in Germany, and we ended up staying with this couple, and the girl said, I have to work. And so she goes into the corner and pulls out a binder and starts talking, and it's all in German, so I can't understand it, but it's kind of like sexy voice. And so we turn to the boyfriend and we're like, yes. It just sounded a little odd. So I turned to the boyfriend. I'm like, what is going on here? And he explained that she has different personalities. And so when these people call, she knows which one she's supposed to be. And her job is to keep them on the phone as long as possible. And she gets paid basically by the minute. I'm like, okay, fine. That's wild, but cool. 20 minutes goes by, she finishes, and then she gets another call. She goes to the corner.
They did too.
She goes to the corner, takes the call, but this time it's a completely different voice. She goes into this low voice, which sounded a lot like Andrew just there. Yes.
Yeah.
And so my eyes, I'm just like, what is happening here? And it turns out that the binder is full of men and women. And so there's someone on this thing thinking that they're talking to a man.
Mein Staffen weeps.
Yeah. And it's this 19-year-old cute girl who's doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really fun watching that go down.
Wait, so the women that are operating these photos are 19-year-old cute girls? Because I always thought it was like a 47-year-old man shaped like a bathtub with a voice modulator.
For her, yes. When you called and you thought you were getting a woman, you were getting a woman. But when you thought you were getting a guy, you were also getting this beautiful woman.
Is nothing sacred.
I regret to inform you that the MAGA rally that has just ended at the Capital One Center. Thank you to everybody who showed up here with us tonight. But what you missed, in case you were debating whether or not to go to the Save America rally or to the We're Not Wrong live show, is that the rally ended with Donald Trump saying he would make America great again. And as his theme song that normally ends his rallies, YMCA started playing, the Village People came out. And he danced with the Village People on stage.
Oh my God.
No.
Maybe I was wrong.
How did he get this popular? It's wild.
I didn't see. I just was texted that. So I don't know whether or not they came out in costume. I assume they have to come out in costume.
Is it possible that this is a Babylon Bee article?
Like Snoop is here. Like he's got actual cool people. It's not just Kid Rock.
Do the chaps still fit?
You know
like,
what?
or do they have new? Do they switch out different Village People like Menudo?
I know nothing about the Village People. Sorry.
It would be amazing if over the next few days, a series of celebrities were like, I actually always really liked the guy. I just thought all of you hated him. Did you hate him? No, I liked him. I like just all of Hollywood's best friends with him.
Well, he has dispatched Mel Gibson and Sylvester Stallone to fix Hollywood.
As ambassadors to Hollywood.
Ambassadors to Hollywood.
Which is not technically a foreign country. Can you do that? Can you just send like the ambassador to Guthrie?
I mean, he invented an entire imaginary department. The Department of Government Efficiency isn't a thing.
Oh, by the way, did you hear about that?
What?
We're one half of that leadership lighter.
I know they've already cut Vivek. The one thing they've accomplished
They're doing their
cutting
job.
is Vivek.
They're doing their job. They did it. Good job, Doge. Hadn't even started yet. Already been more efficient. Good job.
I heard, and take all this for what you will, but I do think that there was some element of inside sauce to this, that Donald Trump was never really into the idea of picking a older, more established vice presidential candidate. That his lean
19-year-old German girl.
his lean was always to do a Prince MAGA, to have like somebody that would be younger that could continue his political revolution. And so the inside track was Vivek. Vivek was the guy that he was initially eyeing as VP. And then Vivek ended his campaign and started doing rallies with Trump. And he's like, this guy is fucking insufferable. And so he kind of faded. JD gets the shine. Now JD is the 50th vice president of the United States. But that would track that Vivek couldn't even make it work at a quasi legitimate government agency.
I'm going to go out here and say that the rumor that Vivek was on the short track to become vice president was probably a rumor started by Vivek.
I mean, it would make sense. It would fall into, all you have to do is believe the idea that Trump is like, no, I want a younger person on the ticket. I don't want Doug Burgum. I want a younger person. And it's like, from that perspective, like Vivek would be on the short list. Of the people in Trump's orbit that were sufficiently, supplicant.
He was like a Trump tribute band. He can walk up and down stairs unassisted. He's under 70. There's like all these things are being met.
But yeah, now he's out. And he's anybody from Ohio in the crowd? Any Ohioans? OHIO? No? Somebody half raised their hand. And then Cincinnati? Yeah. No, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, but are you on the Kentucky side? Yeah. There we go.
Who's Trump's ambassador to Cincinnati? Pete Rose.
But yeah, so now Vivek is going to probably in the next month announce that he is running for governor of Ohio. After he was passed over by the current governor for JD's now vacant seat.
I mean, poor Vivek. He had to leave a position on an imaginary department to go be the governor. I think he's making wise choices.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to win.
Well, but what if they don't like popular stuff in Ohio?
Someone yelled Browns.
It's true. It's true. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We have some more time here. Do you guys want to do some questions from the audience? Or not. We cannot do questions from the audience. Let me go grab our microphone here in the back, and then we can do.
There are a hell of a lot of mustaches in this audience.
Can we get check? Oh, probably have to turn this on. And then we can take some. Anybody? All right. A hand raised here. Check. All right. I'm gonna hold it because there we go. Holy shit! They're still on stage with the Village People. Wow. Oh my God! They are in costume. The chaps fit. Holy shit! The Village People are still in shape. Wow, they're going.
There are like 3 dueling Village People groups, by the way. This is really a thing. There's like the original group and the real group, and then like the Plantagenet.
Guys, you have to go online and see this because the Village People are doing a choreographed dance, and Trump is standing there like he chaperoned them.
Oh, that's him. No, that's not him.
No, these are younger Village People.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
He's doing. My God.
he's doing the dance. He's doing. All right.
This is good, guys. We've gone from the Black Mirror episode back to a sitcom. Congratulations. This is good. This is a good development.
All right. Question.
Just quickly, what's the over/under from you guys on how long it takes for Elon and Trump to fall out big time?
8 months.
You think that's
That's a long time.
8 weeks?
8 weeks. Yeah. I'm going to go with 8 months. I think. Yeah.
Doesn't that big personality?
They're both very big personalities. Sam Harris says.
No, but he loves rich people.
Yeah.
And he's the richest person.
He's the richest person, so he's going to like him the most.
I think it's going to start with Elon getting pissed that his office, which is across the street from the White House, I don't think he's going to get full access, and I think he's going to feel insulted, and then he'll say something shitty on Twitter, and then it'd be good. And I don't think it'll take that long.
Zip line.
Well, I think the reality with Elon is that he just gets bored and finds another thing. Like he's already yelling at Pakistanis in England, so like. You know, we're already he's already halfway focused on some other stuff. So
But the people at
He's gonna
Mar-a-Lago say that he's irritating Trump because he basically like moved into Trump's yard.
yeah.
And Trump doesn't like how often he comes over.
Maybe he'll form Doge Pound and go to the UK. Make their government more
Doge
efficient.
Pound.
Doge Pound.
I like it.
Sir, what's your name?
Agenor,
And what is your question?
longtime hater, first time caller. Should we start buying individual stocks in TikTok like we did Southwest and maybe buy
Don't
enough
get
of
me
a share?
fucking started. God damn it.
Hey, bless you, fellow member of the Southwest Investors Club.
Oh my God. And Southwest shareholders. How many? Right? Okay.
I think we have more Southwest shareholders than patrons in the room right now.
I think so. I don't know. Jen, this just became a thing with you that you thought we were like making fun of you.
I still don't get the joke. I don't. I'm not.
All I know is that
I just want it to go away.
I wound up getting a bunch of like disclosure forms like sent to my house. So whatever you do, don't officially buy me stock because I don't know what to do with it. It's frankly scary. All right, sir, what's your name?
Hey, I'm Lewis. I just wanted to say with how much of a cluster the TikTok thing is, did you see that Marvel Snap got pulled down because of it?
Yes, and I have no idea why.
What's Marvel Snap?
It's a trading card digital game.
Yeah, idiot.
I knew you knew. I didn't
I
know.
know.
Can you tell he's annoyed with his roommate?
No, come on. No, we're together. She's an outcast.
ByteDance
They not like us.
owns part of the publisher, so they pulled
Oh,
everything
really?
down. Yeah.
Huh.
I told you so. Websites, apps, games, all of it's fair game in this law.
It
TikTok's
is.
just the beginning.
Yeah.
Nerds.
So what did I think? I was just confused, to be totally honest with you. Like I had no idea that ByteDance owned anything of Marvel Snap. It seemed like Marvel Snap didn't know because they were like the actual creators of Marvel Snap were like, I guess we're down, but they're gonna try to figure it out. But yeah, I think that Jen is right that this is a broad law that like not everybody who wrote the law is going to have to comply with it. And so now you have a bunch of people that like Oracle and Apple and Google that are like, well, we're not going to get, fined into oblivion. So we'll be overbroad with it. And we're going to pull stuff down before we have any kind of issue. All right, we have another question over here. Fill in the time. What's your name?
I'm Chaz.
Hi, Chaz. What's your question?
So TikTok was the only one named. Who do you think is next on the chopping block for businesses that might get taken down by that law?
I can't remember the name of it. There was this thing. It was foreign owned.
I really wish that you just would have said in perfect Mandarin, a Chinese, like.
Just make
Well, that would have been a great move. WowPay?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably WowPay.
Yeah. My top 5 are Bing Chao. We're allowed to do racist stuff again. Trump's
Here's the
president.
thing about the way this works is I think it's going to be for the next 4 years very Trump specific. I think it's whoever pisses him off that is foreign and he can get away with taking off their things. Because the way this gets triggered is if the ownership fits in the category, all the president has to do is say like, this is a national security threat and it gets triggered. Like there is no mechanism for oversight or anything. So Trump really does get to pick. And so I think these companies, as long as they're kissing the ring, are fine. And if the owners, are nice to Trump.
Did you have any company or app that you thought was going to be banned?
No, I was just freaked out by the mechanism. Is it just media stuff or is it any company?
Websites, apps, and then there was like the third category. I can't remember the exact words, but I know like virtual reality was a part of it. Games could be a part of it. Like it is so broad, so broad. So it's really a threat to the entire internet, but no one reads these things. So.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm kind of amazed too, because this was actually one of the easier bills that I've ever read. A difficult bill to read is one where it's amending current law because you kind of have to go back and forth and it's all in code and it's a pain in the ass. This one was new text. So you just had to read it. It wasn't that long. So the number of journalists that I'm reading give people explanations for what's happening where it's just clear they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's still just... It's amazing to me how few people in this country are aware of how broad this thing is and how easy that information is to get.
we were watching Fox News this morning
So
as they
dumb.
were trying to discuss the TikTok thing, and watching television anchors discuss tech was like watching a dog try to describe a Picasso painting. They had no idea. It's like TikTok is a computer. The computer gone? Computer back now. Yes, sir. What's your name?
I'm Robert.
Hi, Robert. What's going on?
My question is, if you were at the head of Doge, what would be first on your chopping block?
All right, Heaton, go.
What would go in your report since you have no power?
I'll say one thing that I don't like that Vivek did, or he was trying to do, is Vivek was looking at cutting bureaucracy down to size by looking at the number of bureaucrats, which I don't think is the way to do it. The really big thing, I think, is the regulatory state. And if you're going to keep the regulatory state and you get rid of the bureaucrats, you just draw out the time to get the regulations done. That's a very big problem, right? So that's one thing I would do, is I would focus on the regulations. I would want to look and see, what are we actually getting our bang for our buck on? I don't know. I defer to my congressional colleague. Does Congress have like an idea of this actually has impact versus this has impact? Because I feel like we tend to make decisions as a country based on need rather than impact. That's something that I would want to look at is this money actually going to be useful here? Has it had a track record of being useful? What's the broadband thing we spent $42 billion on? We haven't actually given anybody internet, something like that. That would be unimpactful, that sort of thing. And in terms of like, there are, this isn't what my top pick would be. It's just the first thing that jumped into my head. There are lots of like little boards that are there all over the place that I don't think serve any particular purpose that I would define as protecting people. And I see the role of government as protecting people from poverty too, and from disease and things like that. But things that's just nice, that involves something that the private sector could handle and wouldn't cause any harm if it went to the private sector, would be the stuff I would immediately focus on.
Jen?
What are we talking about? Doge isn't real. It's not real.
Well, yeah, but Jen, if you were...
It's not real. Like, why is this entire country talking about this like it's real? Like, Elon has any power in this government. It's not real. And like, Congress has to do all these things that you talked about. And there's no indication that they're going to do anything with this Doge report, which is the only thing they're empowered to do is give a fucking report. It's a commission.
You have to understand that about 80% of the conversation, I don't know if you're one of my listeners now, but about 80% of the conversation I have with my listeners are like stuff you could smoke pot and talk about at 3 a.m.
Yes.
That's like, well, what if we redid it where we had 100 states? That's the kind of shit I'm here for.
I know.
So
I'm aware. I've gotten the emails on this show.
If you were going to pick something where you're like, that is an inefficient use, what would be the first thing where you're like, that's something we could get rid of?
Doge isn't real. This isn't worth our time.
Jen wants to double the government tomorrow, like just to see what would happen. All right, we got one more question. Do we have anybody who's got, oh, we got a hand up here in the back, walking up the steps. What's your name?
Cody.
Cody, what's up?
So in the first Trump administration, we had the revolving door of cabinet secretaries. And in the Biden administration, we've had the individual fiefdoms of no responsibility.
Yes.
What's been worse?
Ooh.
This is one for Justin.
Well, I know, and we're going to get into this a little bit in the Patreon episode, but I thought the worst way to run a government was just to fire everybody because they winked at you wrong. And then I like the monkey paw curled where I'm like, I wish they would be fired less. And then it became no one ever gets fired ever.
Then Lloyd Austin disappeared.
Yeah, Lloyd Austin's like, I'm going to get a Brazilian butt lift and be out for a month and a half. And everyone's like, cool. Like,
Everybody please picture Lloyd Austin with a Brazilian butt lift, please. At home, everybody do this.
And so, I guess recency bias, I hate more that a bunch of inefficient people actually had no central authority and were just running their own little fiefdoms and were doing it they were also bad at it. Like, that's worse to me right now than chaos, because at least chaos, you have the shot at something going different. Stability can provide, if it's going in the correct direction, a ability to make progress. But if it's not making progress and it's literally just spinning its wheels, then it doesn't make any sense to kind of keep the same people in place. If you have chaos, then you're probably not going to get much done, but theoretically somebody might accidentally come into the role and do something decent. So I guess I would rather everybody mandatorily get fired every month than keep them in the same position for 4 years, even if they are like just shooting people on the street. Oh, wait, sorry. Drone bombing them like we did in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then not apologizing or acknowledging it. That was a fun thing that happened in the last 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea, because Biden talked about it again, that this deal that just went through with Israel and the Palestinians, this was the same deal that was worked out in May, that they announced in May. And the Secretary of State couldn't fucking get it done until the following year. Like that guy.
Working tirelessly.
Bye-bye.
Tirelessly.
Yeah, working tirelessly.
24/7.
Yeah, they lose the election in large part because of it. And he's still there. Like
working day and night.
Yeah, didn't get a lot of sleep, that guy.
Nope.
Because he couldn't get the goddamn job done.
He did have time to play Keep on Rocking in the Free World in Kyiv.
He did. He did.
But I'm sure he was like negotiating in his pocket. He was like texting.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that deserve to get fired and didn't. And it just feels like for the last at least 2 years, we've just been floating out there and things have been happening and we've just been reacting to them. And it's at least this time people are going to be reacting to us. It's going to be different in the next 4 years.
Reacting to the village people.
That's true.
All of whom are currently ambassadors to somewhere TBD. They're all ambassadors TBD.
All right, that'll wrap it up for us. For Andrew Heaton and Jen Briney, I'm Justin Robert Young, and we're not wrong. Lloyd Austin's Brazilian butt lift is.
Dog and Pony Show audio.